How Stoics handle criticism, insults, and disrespect. At some point, someone will criticize you unfairly. They will misunderstand your intentions, insult your character, dismiss your efforts, or speak to you with disrespect. It may happen at work, within your family, among friends, or online. Sometimes the criticism will be direct. Other times, it will arrive through sarcasm, gossip, passive aggression, or silence. And when it happens, your first reaction may be immediate. You may feel anger rising in your chest. Your mind may begin preparing a response. You may imagine the perfect sentence that will embarrass the other person and restore your dignity. You may replay the interaction for hours, wondering why they said it and what you should have done. The Stoics understood this struggle extremely well. They lived in a world filled with political conflict, public humiliation, betrayal, rivalry, and personal attacks. Marcus Aurelius faced criticism as the emperor of Rome. Seneca survived the dangerous politics of the imperial court. Epictetus began life as a slave and regularly experienced cruelty and disrespect. Yet Stoicism does not teach us to become emotionless or passive. It teaches us to remain in control of ourselves when other people lose control of themselves. The Stoic response to criticism begins with a simple question. Is this within my control? You cannot control another person's opinion. You cannot control their tone, their assumptions, their gossip, or their decision to disrespect you. You can explain yourself, set boundaries, and respond wisely, but you cannot force another person to understand you. What you can control is your judgment. You can control whether their words become a temporary sound or a permanent wound. You can control whether you respond from reason or react from anger. You can control whether you allow one person's behavior to determine the quality of your day. Epictetus taught that people are disturbed not by events themselves, but by the judgments they form about those events. An insult is made of words. The pain comes from the meaning we attach to those words. When someone calls you foolish, weak, selfish, or unsuccessful, your mind immediately begins interpreting the attack. You may think, they have humiliated me. Everyone will believe them. I must prove them wrong. But the Stoic pauses before accepting that interpretation. The Stoic asks, has this person actually harmed my character, or have they merely expressed an opinion? Your character cannot be damaged by another person's sentence. It can only be damaged by your own actions. Someone may call you dishonest, but their accusation does not make you dishonest. What matters is whether you behave dishonestly. Someone may call you a failure, but their words do not determine the value of your life. Someone may treat you as inferior, but they do not possess the authority to define your worth. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that other people's opinions do not enter the mind unless we allow them to. This does not mean criticism should always be ignored. Some criticism contains truth, and the Stoics value truth more than comfort. When someone criticizes you, there are two possibilities. They may be right, or they may be wrong. If they are right, anger is unnecessary. They have revealed something you can improve. Perhaps you were impatient. Perhaps you made a poor decision. Perhaps your behavior hurt someone. In that case, the criticism becomes useful information. It may be unpleasant, but it gives you an opportunity to grow. A wise person does not reject the truth simply because it was delivered badly. Imagine someone angrily telling you that you constantly interrupt people. Their tone may be rude, but the observation may still be accurate. You can disagree with the delivery while examining the message. The ego wants to defend itself immediately. Wisdom is willing to investigate. The Stoic response is there truth in this? Is there something here that can make me better? If the criticism is false, then anger is still unnecessary. Why become disturbed by an inaccurate statement? If someone says the sky is green, the sky does not need to defend itself. Reality remains unchanged. In the same way, if you know that you acted honestly and thoughtfully, an unfair accusation does not alter what happened. A false statement reveals more about the speaker's judgment than it does about your character. This is one of the most powerful Stoic principles: you do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. Many people insult others because they are searching for a reaction. Your anger gives them control. Your defensiveness tells them that they have successfully entered your mind. Calmness breaks that control. Silence can sometimes be stronger than the most intelligent comeback. Not because you are afraid to respond, but because you recognize that the conversation does not deserve your energy. A person who throws mud at you must first dirty their own hands. The Stoics also understood that disrespect often comes from ignorance. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that difficult people act according to what they believe is right or beneficial. Even cruel behavior comes from a confused idea of what is good. People insult others because they believe it will make them feel powerful. They gossip because they believe it will raise their social position. They attack because they feel threatened. They disrespect because they have not developed discipline over their impulses. This does not excuse their behavior. Understanding is not the same as approval. But understanding prevents hatred. When you recognize that another person is acting from insecurity, ignorance, fear, or emotional weakness, their behavior becomes less personal. You stop seeing them as a powerful enemy and begin seeing them as someone controlled by their own impulses. The disrespectful person may appear strong, but the need to insult others often reveals inner weakness. The Stoic aims to avoid becoming like the person who offended them. This is where criticism becomes a test of character. It is easy to be calm when everyone agrees with you. It is easy to be kind when people treat you kindly. The real test arrives when someone is unfair, insulting, or hostile. At that moment, you are given a choice. You can imitate their behavior, or you can demonstrate your principles. If someone is rude and you become rude in return, they have influenced your character. If someone is angry and you surrender to anger, their emotional state has become your emotional state. If someone behaves without dignity and you respond without dignity, you have allowed them to pull you down to their level. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is not to become like the person who harmed you. This is not weakness. It requires far more strength to remain composed than to release every angry thought that appears in your mind. Anyone can shout. Anyone can insult. Anyone can send an impulsive message. Self-control is the rarer power. However, Stoicism does not mean accepting unlimited disrespect. There is a difference between inner calm and outward passivity. You can remain calm while setting a firm boundary. You can refuse to tolerate abusive behavior without becoming abusive yourself. You can leave a conversation, end a relationship, report misconduct, or defend someone who is being mistreated. The Stoic does not ask, how can I avoid conflict at all costs? The Stoic asks, what is the most reasonable and virtuous action available to me? Sometimes the right response is silence. Sometimes it is a calm correction. Sometimes it is a direct boundary. You might say, I am willing to discuss the issue, but I will not continue this conversation while you speak to me that way. That response does not contain an insult. It does not beg for approval. It simply establishes a standard. A boundary should protect your peace, not punish another person. The Stoic also avoids over-explaining. When you desperately try to prove yourself to everyone, you place your peace in the hands of an audience. You begin living for approval rather than principle. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will like you. Not everyone will interpret your actions fairly. This is unavoidable. Even the most admirable people in history were criticized. Kindness can be called weakness. Confidence can be called arrogance. Discipline can be called obsession. Silence can be called insecurity. Success can be called luck. You cannot live truthfully while constantly adjusting yourself to avoid criticism. The goal is not to become impossible to criticize. The goal is to become less dependent on praise and less disturbed by blame. Praise and criticism are often two versions of the same trap. When praise controls you, criticism will destroy you. If you need people to tell you that you are intelligent, successful, attractive, or valuable, then you will fear anyone who suggests the opposite. But when your confidence is based on your conduct, your effort, and your principles, other people's opinions become less powerful. The Stoic measures life internally. Did I act with courage? Did I act with justice? Did I exercise self-control? Did I tell the truth? Did I do what was mine to do? These questions matter more than whether everyone approved. When criticism arrives, create distance between the event and your response. Do not answer immediately. Let the first emotional wave pass. Take a breath. Walk away if necessary. Ask yourself whether your next action will improve the situation or simply satisfy your anger. Time exposes the difference between a necessary response and an impulsive reaction. A message written in anger may feel powerful for 5 minutes and create problems for 5 years. The Stoic chooses long-term dignity over short-term satisfaction. It is also useful to imagine the situation from above. Picture yourself, the other person, the room, the street, the city, and the vast world beyond it. Consider how small this moment is within the scale of your entire life. Will this insult matter in 1 year? Will this stranger's opinion matter in 10 years? Is this worth sacrificing your sleep, your focus, or your peace? Most insults survive only because we repeatedly bring them back to life. The person may have spoken for 10 seconds, but we continue the attack internally for days. We replay their voice. We invent new arguments. We imagine what they might be saying about us. In doing so, we become the source of our own continued suffering. The Stoic lets the moment end. Ultimately, criticism, insults, and disrespect are not only obstacles. They are training. They teach you where your ego is sensitive. They reveal how dependent you are on approval. They show you whether your principles are real or merely convenient. Every difficult person becomes an opportunity to practice patience. Every insult becomes an opportunity to practice restraint. Every unfair judgment becomes an opportunity to trust your own character. You do not need to defeat every critic. You do not need to correct every misunderstanding. You do not need to have the final word. Your life is the final word. Let your actions answer accusations. Let your consistency answer gossip. Let your calmness answer provocation. Let your character speak more loudly than the opinions of people who have not taken the time to understand you. The Stoic does not ask the world to become respectful before choosing peace. The Stoic builds a peace that disrespect cannot easily enter. When someone criticizes you, examine the truth. When someone insults you, protect your character. When someone disrespects you, establish boundaries without surrendering your self-control. You cannot prevent people from throwing stones. But you can decide whether to carry those stones with you.